All right, we're going to go ahead and get started now. I'm going to give a quick introduction. So welcome, everybody. Tonight's presentation is a partnership with our Department of Elections. My name is Anissa. I'm your librarian for tonight, and I do a lot of the programs virtually. We're happy to have you here tonight on the unceded lands of the Ohlone Ramaytush tribal groups, and we acknowledge them as the rightful stewards in the lands on which we reside and work here in our Bay Area. SFPL also wants to acknowledge Black Lives Matter and the painful situation our community seems to remain in, and know that SFPL is not a neutral institution, and we are working on our own systemic racism and stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. I put a link into our box, and this will be an intro of all the stuff that I'm going to talk about now, but it has lots of book lists and resources about Black Lives Matter as well as Indigenous culture. I'll also put a little link in about, it's called Native Lands. You can put in your location like San Francisco or wherever you are, and it'll tell you what tribal territory you're living on. If you know already without the map, put it in the box. We'd love to hear where you're from. Also, we want to let you know we're celebrating Viva. So it is Latinx Heritage Month, or Latino Heritage Month, or Latino Hispanic Heritage Month. It's all of it. And we're so happy that we get to keep celebrating this wonderful heritage. And we have so many events, lots of arts, lots of authors, lots of programs for all ages, cooking classes. It's fantastic. Our author that we're celebrating is Mr. Benjamin Bach Sierra, and he is a native Mission District, an educator, an activist, a scholar, and an all-around just amazing guy. And he is coming out with his sequel to Barrio Bushido, and it's called Puraneta. And he is going to be in convo with Luis Rodriguez on September 30th. We are so excited. I'm sure you've all read Luis Rodriguez, pretty critical reading in any kind of high school, college. If you haven't, you must check it out. It's mind-blowing. I'm so excited that they're going to be together discussing this. I also want to remind folks that we have, here's some Viva stuff really quick. Authors, I'm going to breeze through some of this. There's Benjamin and Lewis. I really encourage you to come out to this, support these two. These are legendary authors, I swear. Just come check it out. Art, Daniel Azama is going to be joining us from Mexico to talk about his amazing art. That's Sunday in a partnership with the Mexican Museum. And some PSA info. All of this stuff will be in the document I shared in the link. And so much happening. Yes, One City, One Book. We have chosen Chanel Miller. Get your book today, place it on hold, or buy it from our Friends of the Library bookstore or any bookstore you'd like to support. It's a pretty heavy book. I encourage you to start reading it now. You might have to set it down and come back to it. It's challenging, it's accessible, and I don't mean challenging by the reading, I mean challenging by the content. So we encourage you all to read this. It's a very important book. Chanel Miller has just now opened up the Asian Art has opened up a beautiful triptych of her work, and you can see it from Hyde Street, a beautiful mural. So she's an artist and an author, and we encourage you to read her book. She will be appearing virtually with us exclusively for One City, One Book in mid-March. And then You Matter, we love you, you matter, take the census. It is so important, so important. And there's only like 5 days left. So please, this is the last push. A lot rides on the census, and it brings in $20,000 per count for the next 10 years for childcare, public transportation, road repair, affordable housing, emergency services, senior services. I can't tell you how much rides on it. And I know it's a wild and broken system and people are afraid, but it's so important. Please take your census. Tell everyone to take their census. SFPL to go, now available at 6 locations. You can place holds on books. and we are slowly trickling open more locations. So we're coming back. We miss you. And love to all my library family who's working in the streets at places like our food bank, at our COVID testing centers, at contract tracers. So our staff has been deployed. So please mask up, keep our staff and my library family healthy, and keep all those wonderful other workers that work on the streets daily healthy too. Mask up. And city is still doing COVID testing, sf.gov, city test SF. And we love our friends. They sponsor everything we do. They support what we do, and they too have had to pivot in our new world. So please, they have a bookstore. Our Viva books are on there, and our One City One Book is on there. And they do lots of other, like, they have an event coming up on how to make a will. So they do other things. So please check them out. And right now, I'm so excited that we roped in the SF Elections Department to do a virtual program with us. And this will be on YouTube, and they will be back. So put your questions in the Q&A. We'll go that way. And at the end, we'll have a little time. And if not, save the questions because they will be back. And the document that I'll send around has their website, their Twitter, their socials, and the link to the YouTube. So Amanda and Michael, I'm going to stop sharing and mute and hide myself and turn it over to the SF department.
All right, thank you, Anissa. And thank you for everyone who has stopped by to learn more about the November 3rd consolidated general election. Ooh, is it working? All right. So several new election laws were passed this year to ensure that every Californian can choose a safe method to participate in the November 3rd election. These new laws will allow for ballots to be mailed to all registered voters, access to the online accessible vote by mail system for all voters, and safe in-person voting opportunities. We'll discuss each of these topics in more detail later in this presentation. All right. There are 3 sections in this presentation. First one is registration qualifications and ways to register to vote. 2 will cover voting options, whether you choose to vote by mail or vote in person. And 3, voter information resources and contests on the ballot. So what are registration qualifications and how do you register to vote? To register to vote in California, a person must be a United States citizen, a current resident of California, at least 18 years old on election day, not currently in prison or on parole for a felony conviction, and not currently found mentally incompetent to vote by a court. For many, the easiest way to register to vote is online at registertovote.ca.gov. But if you would prefer a paper voter registration form, you can request one by contacting us at City Hall, room 48, emailing us at sfvote@sfgov.org, or giving us a call at 415-554-4375. And you may return these paper registration forms by mail, no postage required, or dropped off in person at our office. So your voter registration deadlines. Eligible residents will be able to register to vote or update their information online or by mail up through October 19th. People can still register to vote after October 19th, but it will be too late to do so online or by mail, and we'll have to make a trip to the voting center or polling place to register in person and vote provisionally. For this reason, we encourage you to register or update your registration information as early as possible. And if you're not sure whether you're registered to vote in San Francisco, you can check your voter registration status at sfelections.org/voter portal or by contacting us. The registration steps are slightly different for people in the following special circumstances: non-citizen voters eligible to vote in the November 3rd school board election, military or overseas voters, unhoused voters, voters with criminal convictions, voters in college, voters who need to remain confidential for personal security reasons. If any of these apply to you, you can learn more at sfelections.org/registration or by contacting us. Next, we will go over your voting options in the November 3rd election, starting with vote by mail. So to ensure that every Californian has the opportunity to safely participate in the November 3rd election, all registered voters will be mailed ballots for the upcoming election. This means San Francisco voters will receive vote-by-mail ballot packets in early October. This ballot packet will contain an official ballot, instructional insert, official postage-paid return envelope, and an I voted sticker. And to ensure the timely delivery of your ballot, we ask that you keep your address up to date. You can confirm the information in your voter record at voterstatus.sos.ca.gov or by contacting us. And if you do need to update your residential or mailing address, please re-register to vote at registertovote.ca.gov or contact us for a paper registration form. All San Francisco voters will be able to use an accessible vote-by-mail system to access their ballots in the upcoming election. This option was previously limited to voters with disabilities and military and overseas voters. The accessible vote-by-mail system allows voters to download and mark screen-readable ballots online and is compatible with many personal assistive devices, such as head pointers and sip and puffs. And for security reasons, the system does not store or transmit votes over the internet. After marking a ballot, a voter must print and return their ballot printout by mail or in person. And San Francisco voters can access their ballots at sfelections.org/access starting on October 5th through 8 p.m. on Election Day. And to access their ballots, voters will just need to input their house number, zip code, and birth date. When you are done voting, you may put the ballot you marked in the mail or in the return envelope, complete and sign the envelope, peel away the self-sealing strip to seal the envelope. And for many, the easiest way to return a ballot is by using this official postage-paid return envelope enclosed with the vote-by-mail packets that all registered voters received earlier in October. And if you do lose or damage your return envelope, please contact us for a replacement envelope or get instructions on how to return your ballot using 2 regular envelopes. First and foremost, to be counted, you must return your ballot on time. All return envelopes must be postmarked by Election Day, November 3rd. And when returning your ballot in person, you can bring the ballot envelope to any ballot drop-off station before or on Election Day, or to one of the city's 588 polling places, which will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. And for more information on drop-off station locations and hours and polling place locations, please go to sfelections.org/myvotinglocation. Some important vote-by-mail tips. Please remember to sign your ballot return envelope. If you do not sign the envelope, or if the signature on the envelope does not compare to the one in your voter record, the department will not be able to count your ballot unless you provide additional information. If your signature has changed, we ask that you re-register as soon as possible with your new signature. Next, you want to return your ballot as early as possible. If you do plan on returning your ballot on Election Day using a blue USPS box, home letter box, or business mail drop, please be sure to check the mail pickup times. If the last pickup has already occurred, your ballot will be postmarked late and will not be counted. You can track the status of your ballot as it moves through printing, assembly, delivery, and counting at sfelections.org/voterportal, or you can sign up to receive notifications on the status of your ballot via email, text, or voice message at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov. And if you do not receive a ballot in the mail, or if you lose or damage your ballot, please contact us or go to sfelections.org/voterportal to request a replacement. So a quick recap. All registered voters will receive a ballot in the mail several weeks before Election Day. To vote by mail, simply mark the ballot, place your ballot cards in the postage-paid return envelope, sign the envelope, and place it in a mailbox or bring it to a ballot drop-off location. And you can track the status of your ballot by contacting us or visiting sfelections.org/voterportal, or receive notifications for when your ballot is received and counted at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov. And next, Mike will review options for voting in person.
Yeah, thank you very much, Amanda. So as Amanda mentioned, we will now go over your voting options for in-person voting, which will be at San Francisco's voting center and polling places. So voting at the City Hall Voting Center. So the City Hall Voting Center will open on October 5th, and to protect the health of voters wishing to obtain in-person services, the voting center will now be set up in the area outside of the Bill Graham Civic Auditorium on 99 Grove Street between Polk and Larkin Streets. So this outdoor City Hall voting center, it will provide services to all city residents who wish to pick up or drop off their vote by mail ballots, register to vote before or after the registration deadline. They can also go there to use accessible voting equipment, receive personal assistance from elections workers, obtain replacement ballots, or cast their ballots in person. So one of the great things about the City Hall Voting Center is that you can go there to vote early. So the City Hall Voting Center will open Monday through Friday from October 5th through November 2nd from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. And then weekend voting opens up on October 24th through 25th, and then again on October 31st through November 1st from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then, of course, November 3rd is Election Day, and we will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And so with these with those early voting opportunities available 29 days before the election day, we definitely encourage you to vote as early as possible. If you do vote in person or by mail, you can definitely avoid possible wait times in crowded public spaces, and your ballot will be reviewed and counted well before election day. So we definitely encourage you to visit the voting center if you want to cast your ballot early. And so now I'm going to talk about voting at a polling place. On election day, November 3rd, the department will provide up to 588 polling places throughout the city. If you do decide to vote at a neighborhood polling place, be sure to go to your assigned polling place so that you will receive the correct ballots. You may also use a voting locations and wait times tool at sfelections.org/myvotinglocation to confirm your assigned polling place and address. And this tool will also include the type of facility that your polling place will be, across streets, and also any accessibility information such as slope at the entrance. Your polling place address will also be printed on the back cover of your voter information pamphlet that all San Francisco voters will receive the mail in October. So voting provisionally. If you do not register to vote before the deadline of October 19th, you may register to vote conditionally and cast a provisional ballot at the voting center or your polling place. So if you do cast your ballot at a polling place that's different from the one that you are assigned, your name will not be on the polling place roster, and you'll need to vote on a provisional ballot. When the department processes your provisional ballot, we will only be able to count your votes in the contest also being held in your assigned precinct. So in other words, if the ballot type at your assigned precinct is different than the ballot type where you vote provisionally, you may miss the opportunity to vote in some contests. So it's definitely important to vote at your assigned polling place in order to avoid missing out on contests. So now I'm going to talk about some of our language and accessibility resources that are available at our in-person voting locations. So at any voting site, any voter may choose to mark a bilingual ballot in English in either Chinese, Spanish, or Filipino. And at some of our voting locations, we will also have facsimile ballots available in Burmese, Japanese, Korean, Thai, or Vietnamese. And also, as always, voters can request assistance from a bilingual poll worker, and there will always be bilingual poll workers on staff at our in-person voting locations. So all voters will also have the option to use our accessibility resources, including marking a touchscreen or audio format ballot using the ballot marking device as shown there on the screen. Voters can also use accessible voting tools such as a page magnifier or pen grip, and they can always request assistance from a poll worker. And additionally, voters can now request curbside service, which will allow voters who cannot come inside a voting facility to vote outside or in their cars. So in compliance with current guidance from local, state, and federal public health officials, we will be adopting several new health and safety protocols at all of our in-person voting facilities. So at every voting facility, we will offer face coverings, hand sanitizers, and gloves to all voters, and we will also set up each polling place to facilitate social distancing. And also, all of our poll workers and election workers will incorporate cleaning and sanitizing tasks into their regular responsibilities. And to encourage safe voting practices, we will put up multilingual notices, both outside and inside all of our voting facilities, to remind voters to follow vital health guidelines, including those regarding facial coverings, hand hygiene, and social distancing. So if you do decide to vote in person in the upcoming election, definitely please remember to wear a face covering so you can protect public health and also comply with local law. You can also make your voting experience faster and safer using the voting locations and wait times tool, once again at sfelections.org/myvotinglocation to check wait times at the City Hall Voting Center and polling places. So now we are going to review some of the informational resources for voters to learn about candidates and ballot measures that they will be voting on this November. So state and local voter guides. So in early October, all registered voters will receive the Secretary of State's Voter Information Guide, which will include information on statewide candidates and measures. In around the same time, San Francisco voters will also receive the local voter information pamphlet, and this will include a sample ballot and information about voting. Also, there will be info about local candidates and local ballot measures. If you would like to stop receiving these paper guides in the mail and receive them by email instead, you can opt out of these mailings at sfelections.org/voter portal. So what will be on the November 3rd election ballot? The November 3rd election ballot will list the following contests: President and Vice President of the United States Representatives in Districts 12 and 14, California State Senator District 11, State Assembly Member District 17 and 19, BART Board of Directors District 7 and 9, 4 seats on the San Francisco Board of Education, 4 seats on the Community College Board, and then Board of Supervisors in the odd numbered districts, and also state and local ballot measures. So now we're going to talk a little bit about ranked choice voting. So in 2002, San Francisco adopted ranked choice voting, RCV, to fill most of its elected local offices to eliminate the need for separate runoff elections. And this is done by allowing voters to rank candidates in order of preference. In the upcoming election, voters living in odd-numbered supervisorial districts 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11 will use RCV to elect members of the Board of Supervisors to represent their districts. So San Francisco's voting system, introduced last year, now allows voters to rank up to 10 candidates in RCV contests using a grid-like ballot format with candidate names listed on rows on the top from left to right, and candidate names listed on rows on the left side of the grid as circled there, and then rankings are on the top from first to last, left to right. So in ranked choice voting, when you are marking a ranked choice contest, you can rank as few or as many candidates as you like. So in this sample contest here, asking voters to rank their favorite landscapes, to rank beach first, forest second, ocean third, glacier fourth, and desert fifth, you would fill in the ovals as shown. So to fill in the oval in the first column in the row for beach, you would just circle the bubble next to that column there, and then you would fill in the oval in the second column the row for forest, and then you would fill in the oval in the third column the row for ocean, and so on and so forth. Just mark the corresponding circle. So these are some common ranked choice voting mistakes that you do want to avoid. When marking your ballot, make sure you have not ranked the same candidate more than once. Ranking the same candidate more than once will not help your favorite candidate because your vote for that candidate will only count once. And then also make sure not to give multiple candidates the same rank. Your vote in that rank and later ranks will not count. For example, do not rank multiple candidates as your first choice. So one of the best ways to test your knowledge about ranked choice voting is to use the interactive tool that we have available on our website at sfelections.org/practice. So this tool, it allows users to practice marking a ranked choice contest with up to 10 rankings. And then when you do submit your ballot, it explains how the mark contest would be counted in a real election. And so that wraps up this presentation. If there are any questions anyone might have, you can definitely feel free to contact us at any time at sfo@sfgov.org. You can also send us an email directly at the outreach team at sfoutreach@sfgov.org, or give us a call at any of the numbers listed on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda and Michael. We don't have a whole lot of attendees, but do any of our attendees have any questions right now they'd like to ask? And you can raise your hand, or you can put it in the Q&A, or I can unmute you. Sherry, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you if you'd like. And you can go that way.
Okay. I received the California book, but like weeks ago, but not the San Francisco, and it sounded like I should have already. Is that correct?
Actually, you got the California book early. So because the our book, they normally coincide with the delivery or the mailing of the ballots. So
Okay.
you should be getting the voter information pamphlet normally about a week before we mail out the ballots. So they'll
Okay.
be on their way the first week of October.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
And let's see, do we have another hand up? No.
Troy does ask, can we vote on the internet without a paper ballot?
Go
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, sure. You cannot vote on the internet. You can't transmit votes over the internet. The accessible vote by mail system, it allows you to download a paper ballot. Or if you need any assistive devices, you can mark your ballot using those assistive devices, but you still need to print it out and then mail it back to the department. For security reasons, we definitely do not want to, we don't want to transmit votes over the internet. So there's always a paper trail for all the ballots that are returned to the department for counting.
Do you think you could put that link into the practice? I think people would like that.
Sure.
And I'll add it to the main document that I forward to folks.
Yeah. And to answer Troy's follow-up question, you could print at home. You could also download it and put it onto a flash drive to print. And then at our voting center, if you do need to print out your accessible vote by mail ballot, you can definitely do that here too, because we will have printers available so that you can print out your ballot in case you do not have access to one. So yeah, there's definitely multiple options for you to print out your ballot. Very welcome.
Sherry, did you have another question or?
I do, or
Sure.
a comment question. I was concerned about how my signature has changed in the 40 or so years ago since I registered in the city. So Wendy in your office was so helpful, talked me through it, sent me the form, which I signed. So now I know, what signature I'm using now, and sent it in. And I think that's important. And I think you did mention it in your presentation, but it's good to verify your signature.
Yeah, for sure. And just to clear up any misconceptions, so your signature doesn't have to match 100% exactly, because no one signs their name the same way twice. When we do verify signatures on vote by mail ballots, we do have a very detailed process where we compare signature against multiple signatures that have been submitted to the department, and all the signatures are on your voter record. So we do definitely have a multi-step process to verify signatures. However, if there are any concerns, you're more than welcome to update your address. So thank you for bringing that up, Sherry. It's a very good point.
Up there. All right, so I want to let you know that like I said, there's more time for questions, and it sounds like Wendy from the office is very amenable to to helping. So I'm sure
Yeah, thanks, Wendy.
all of SF elections is helpful. So on October 4th, the Department of Elections on a Sunday morning will be joining us. And then we'll have on October 7th, the League of Women Voters, who will be discussing all of the state initiatives and ballot issues. So join us then. Amanda and Michael, thank you so much. I appreciate it. City family.
Thanks for having us. Yeah,
All
definitely
right,
appreciate the
friends.
opportunity to be here.
Right,
All right.
thank
Good
you.
night. Good night,
good night.
library community.